Hello, my name is Brant Hunt. My channel is simply called Discerning What is True. We talk about a lot of different things on this channel, mainly to do with spiritual, esoteric teachings. Um, Talk about the Egyptian writings, so to speak. You can go back and look back for the last couple of years. We've gone into that. Um, I've interviewed Phil Langdon for probably, I don't know, maybe 15 times, maybe a little bit more than that. Um, but Phil is the one who's done the work. But anyway, the talk tonight is going to be with a chapter here from Psychology and Kabbalah by a Jewish Kabbalistic teacher. And this is called Intermission. Intermission. And let's see if we change this out a little bit. Change it back up here. Bear with me just a second here. Magnifier here changes the color, makes it easy for me to see. That is dark print. I don't know what is going on now for some reason. Um, okay, now let's try this thing out here. So this is called Intermission, Chapter 10 of Psychology and Kabbalah. As mud, water, and oil each find their level in a glass jar, so the nephesh, psyche, and spirit go to their respective places in the three lower worlds. Nephesh, or vital soul, dispenses, or I should say disperses into its elementary aspects in a relatively short time. Its matter returning to dust and its energy rejoining the general pool of vitality in nature. The psyche is of a more subtle composition and greater duration. Even this, over a certain period, dissolves like the nephesh back into the fabric and force of Yetzirah, as it too is only a vehicle for holding the dynamic of the spirit and the spark. Where am I at? Spark of divine consciousness. However, many lives on earth have to be passed through before this occurs permanently. Likewise, the spiritual vehicle also eventually dissolves back into its world of creation when the photon, PHOT, of consciousness within an individual, having reached its full potential, reunites with the being of Adam Katman and goes beyond into the nothing and all of the absolute. Until then, each human being goes to its or her appropriate level, the most evolved according to tradition, to the higher reaches of Jacob's ladder, where they will await, recall, or enter the inner councils of mankind that watches over the human race. Here they may remain for many centuries, working from above until it may be necessary for someone to descend and operate directly at the lower levels. Such people as the great saints and sages are of this order, selecting their moment to incarnate according to their general situation in which cosmic trends are taken into account. I'd like to ask that question right there. I would ask, kind of curious, do we choose to come in at a certain time to reincarnate, or is it done for us? The influence of masters like Confucius and the Baal Shem, who turned up at crucial points in Chinese and Jewish history, are examples of careful timing at the transpersonal personal level. Most souls do not reach the lofty chambers of the Bariya world, where providence organizes and adjusts the grand design for our planet, but remain below in the realm of Yetzirah, where they complete and assimilate the lessons of their previous life. During this time, many old connections are renewed with the already dead, and the long-term effects of even earlier lives are seen in the light of the last. repeating patterns are recognized as well as progress that has been made to break or develop certain tendencies. Meanwhile, those of their own generation with whom they have karmic or group relationship come and go in a merry-go-round of birth and death. Some people, we are informed, remain only for a short time, either because they cannot do much work at the desired level or because it is better for them to learn while incarnated. Not a few return to a body very quickly, though, either because they are drawn back by their still primitive nature or have to complete a task within a certain time and must follow it through. Many people have this feeling in relation to situations or certain individuals. The notion of soul group gathering and dispersing in the upper worlds and then re-meeting below upon the earth is not without evidence. Thousands of men and women recognize each other, though from where they cannot recall. Some call it kismet, others nemesis, Nemesis, as they work something out together. Occasionally, the individuals actually perceive the reason why they have been brought together. Some become spouses, lovers, or friends, and some just companions on the way of the spirit who have met and worked together before over the centuries and different countries. It is not uncommon, for example, to find these people operating within the same religious or esoteric order, or others who form a multiracial group that always meets at the centers of civilization, like medieval Toledo or 17th century Amsterdam, where the conditions allow cross connections and pollination between traditions, and happen in the 10th century Baghdad or in present day London. It would be appreciated that much organization is involved in bringing about these situations. This is carried out by the laws of cause and effect and conscious management. Thus, while the angelical take care of the cosmic cycles of nature, discarnate human beings with experience and insight watch over and determine the right moment for individual re-entry into the flesh. For the bulk of mankind, the rhythm is fairly regular. In the same way, many people live their lives on Earth as a routine, unless disturbed by larger events like war or economic recession. Most individuals come and go between the worlds in the ebb and flow of families that leapfrog each other over the centuries as they pass through the roles of children, parents, and grandparents, sometimes exchanging positions in relationship and sex. Tradition says there is a legendary towards one sex, and that any reversals are to teach the other sex viewpoint. According to legend, psychics are paired and seek each other out. If they work with integrity, they will meet and mate, but too often people are sidetracked by preferring security, social standings, or a dozen other diversions that make them miss that fatal meeting with, with their other psychological half. It has been said that the Animo, I guess spell that way, Anima, A-N-I-M-A, for a man, and the Nemus for a woman, which are the feminine and masculine counterpoints in the psyche, are in fact the Yuzara image of their partner in that world. This is one of the reasons why the Amida and Amenas projections are so powerful and have little to do with the physical reality of the partner. Figure 16. Heaven or hell. According to many esoteric traditions, between the postmortem and the prenatal periods, the psyche sinks or rises to the appropriate level of being to join others at a similar state of development. There are said to be 7 levels of hell, lower and upper paradises, and 7 heavens during the process of purgatory or purification. The conscience of a person is given the choice to acknowledge the truth about their life. Those who deny the reality sink, while those who acknowledge their fruits of their faults rise. Interesting. Those who deny the reality sink, while those who acknowledge their faults rise. It pays to be honest, is what I think it means. Most remain at the same level they were before, as they are neither particularly good nor evil. This place is known as the earthly paradise, where many families gather for a while before rebirth. According to esoteric teachings, when the moment for descent comes, a new process begins. This is interesting what they're talking about. This is kind of getting into the nuts and bolts of how people reincarnate, I should say, here over and over. And it seems as though, if I understand it, it's in more what I call the nuts and bolts. Most people don't talk about this. I mean, I'm seeing this simply as these are bona good questions or explanations of what takes place when we re-enter this particular realm, or when we choose to leave, so to speak. It seems as though we have set up our life a certain way we want to go through it, that is, meeting certain people, whatever that is in our lives, and then we get what we're supposed to get at that point or later, and we choose to, pass away. Not that we knew that at first when we first came in here, is what I understand, but what happens simply is that naturally we don't know that when we're here, that is, when we're incarnated. This sometimes manifests as vague memories of past epochs that form a backdrop to the psyche. However, if a last life has been traumatic, for example, then it will leave a particular strong residue that may affect a person's new life from deep in the unconscious. A violent marriage, for instance, will influence any relationship in the next life. That makes sense. Here we begin to see how an individual comes into a flesh incarnation with a distinct set of tendencies based upon perhaps a sense of disastrous or harmonious lives. The Buddhist notion that all that we are is the result of what we have thought, felt, and done not only includes the experience of this life, but of others. An example was the young man born after the Second World War who felt constantly guilty because he had betrayed friends in the French resistance. Being executed had not expedited him for that life, and he subsequently committed suicide. So this might explain why people commit suicide. So again, it says, being executed had not expedited him for that life, and he subsequently committed suicide. Whatever was done in the previous life must have an effect on the next, for it is inevitable that certain fixed attitudes will generate corresponding situations. The quick-tempered man must invariably attract conflicts, and the highly emotional woman love or hate deeply. This is where the supervisors, as they are sometimes called, come in, for they might arrange for such a woman to marry such a man in order to learn how to solve their problems. Clearly, the arranging and tuning of their timing, I should say, of their marriage matchup, I should say, is a complex business according to some. People belong to karmic groups, you see. These have senior and junior supervisors who relate the individuals in them to the bigger scheme, so that karmic connections form an integral part of family and society at large. Most people, we are told, are assembled for their descent without too much trouble, and are born in a general sequence so as to live what, for many, is a relatively simple life in urban or rural communities all over the globe. These are, for the most part, um, under the collective psyche of tribes, peoples, and nations. The village in Mexico, the market town in England, and the industrial city in Russia certainly, not certainly, but contain many such people. Individuality is as yet undeveloped as people conform in dress, customs, and attitudes to the image of a true Bedouin, Arab, Yorkshire miner, a Chinese farmer, English civil servant, or a Spanish aristocrat. The animal level of mankind is composed of those with compulsive drives. These people have ambition and exhibit all the qualities that make a person want to get to the top of a profession, a political party, or a street gang. Such people do not live like their less aggressive contemporaries. They incur in their struggle for superiority and domination much karma. By their nature, they will generally generate both strong friends and foes who are fatally involved with them over many incarnations. The ruling families that murder each other for power in the beautiful chambers of the Alhambra Palace in Moorish Spain did not just leave an atmosphere of their violence that still can be felt, but took with them the karmic effect which may still be working itself out in modern dynasties, struggles of business, crime, or politics. These are the things that have to be taken into account when a group of souls is being organized for its next incarnation. Those who have reached a certain level of development are defined as being the, quote, human level, end quote, of mankind are under a different set of laws. Here's where the misunderstanding about people being reincarnated as stones, plants, and animals come from. All humans are born as people. So there's no one that comes back here as a rock. No one comes back here as an animal, you see. Okay, that's what he's trying to point out. So this is makes no sense. It doesn't. It could not be otherwise, but they may live at any one of these levels, which are a state of being, not an entity, not like becoming a dog. Some animal people, for example, behave like pigs or lions, and some vegetable people are like oats and daisies. They exist as that level, as such can be good or bad at being what they are, like a exquisite rose or a mad dog. The quote human, end quote, human being, the human being, are often individuals who have lived many lives and have reached a point when they are not just seeking security, nourishment, or dominance, but realize that life and the universe have a aim. Yes, it does. It really does. That's my take on it. Some are awakened souls and others conscious spirits. There are several levels. Such people are not too easy to place in the usual timetable of births and deaths. They require more exact posting and may have to wait until the right combination of conditions and companions can be found on Earth so as to enable them to live their fates consciously and carry out their destiny. Long-term plans made at the level of Virata Providence are referred to since, quote, human, end quote, humans are rare and have to be strategically placed. Thus, one person may be born in Argentina in order to give him a specific training, while his future wife is raised in England, where the conditions for her karma are perfect for so that when they meet in New York at the right moment, they are ready for each other and the work they are to do together. Kabbalah states that each soul is shown before they are born, the general outline of their life to come, the places where they will be, and the main people they will encounter. This memory, like those of previous lives, is more or less forgotten in the business of being a baby, although some people do retain a dim recollection. However, before we discuss the phenomenon, we must examine the situation prior to the conception of a new baby in the future mother's womb. So that's going to stop at chapter 10 at this point. Again, this is very enlightened. It's getting down to what I call, like I said, the nitty gritty, the bolts and nuts here, so to speak. Gets into the specifics here. It's interesting how this particular writing is talking about a lot of detail, that when people are born, it's into a particular family, and it has to be the right moment for them to quote unquote arrive, so to speak, to meet someone else they're supposed to meet. Now, I don't know anything about if they set up that or something. In other words, they set that up, that's what they want. I don't know the answer there. So, but anyway, you're going to shop it. It's chapter 10 tonight at this point. I appreciate you being here. And hopefully you're learning some things here. It's pretty important we learn these things and understand why we're here. So, again, this is again from a particular book called Psychology and Kabbalah. And the chapter I went through tonight is chapter 10. An interesting deal about what goes on and how to set up the whole deal. It's not something that's happenstance, so to speak. Especially those who have a specific thing they want to do here. You know. Okay, so we're going to stop off and sign off at this point. Thank you for being here. Again, my name is Brant, B-R-A-N-T Hunt. Discerning What is True is my channel. And I wish you a good evening. And thank you.